Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a glute activation kind of explanation, importance, showing you some of the exercises that I do basically before every single lower body session. So not just specifically before a glute session, I also do it before like a quad focus session or a hamstring focus session, obviously with additional things added in for those. But I wanted to tell you the importance of it, why I do it all the time, and how it is going to help you grow your glutes. Telling your glutes to wake up before your session or going into the gym is very, very difficult. And just going into the gym, expecting your glutes to fire maximally before you hip thrust really heavy, before you do deadlifts, is something that is very unlikely. Like, our glutes are very stubborn muscles, unfortunately. I think some people expect to just like start training, they'll just go straight into their first exercise, do hip thrusts or squats or sumo deadlifts or something like that, and they'll think in their head that that's just going to recruit their glutes completely just by doing, like, starting squatting and starting to hip thrust, but they're not actually warmed up, they're not activated, they are not ready to train. The only person that I kind of know about who's done X amount of research into glute activation is Brett Contreras. Now, there isn't that much research into the effects of glute activation. Like, there are not that many research papers, it's not been done, it would take a lot of studies to do that, but coaches from all over the world, athletes from all over the world find that doing glute activation is far better than not doing it at all. I want to keep this video pretty short and sweet for you and not overcomplicate things, not use science terms, because it's not something that you need to know. Well, you probably don't need to know unless you're interested, but I'm just going to give you the basics and explain the reasons why I do X amount of reps and sets, why, how long I warm up for, and everything like that. So, key to glute activation is to include a variety of low loaded drills, and it isn't just things doing like glute bridges with a band and hip thrusts with a band where you're basically just going to hit the glute max. You want to be hitting multiple areas of the glutes, so you want to be hitting your medius, your minimus by doing abductions, lateral band walks, glute bridges, single leg glute bridges, fire hydrants, the list goes on. But obviously I am going to show you that later in the video with some of the exercises that I choose to do. Now, with these exercises, because I do all my body weight or with a band, most of the time I do it with a band, which is what I'm going to explain next for you as well. You could do 100 plus reps of these exercises, like, that's not a problem, but that's not the point of it. You want to stimulate and not completely annihilate the glutes before your session. So doing, I guess, like 12 to 20 reps. I never go above 20 on glute activation. When I'm doing finishers, I sometimes do like 30, 40, 50 reps as pumpers, really getting those metabolites in my glutes, getting the blood in them, literally ballooning them. But for activation, that's not the goal. You're waking your glutes up, you're telling them to stimulate, and you're about to do a glute session and they're going to be used. So I do 15, 12, 20 reps for all the exercises and repeat them numerous times. What are you doing? And by doing this, it's been you can start your hair dry, why don't you? I don't want you to go over the top with the glute activation, because you don't want to completely kill yourself off before you've even started your session. You are, as I've said literally 10 times in this video, you're waking your glutes up. Like, don't want them to be a stubborn muscle anymore. They're ready to train. You're going to hit hip thrust, you're going to do this exercise, you're going to do this set, rep, whatever the workout, whatever it is, you're stimulating them and not annihilating them. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly touch on hip circles. Now, a hip circle is a resistance band. You will see them in probably all my videos. I'm using them next. These are my bands from Let's Train. They should be restocking. They completely sold out, but I have got my link below for you, so they will be restocking as well. Now, I cannot remember the last time I set foot in a gym without my band. I do 3 lower sessions a week, and every single session at some stage, whether it's in the activation finisher, in the session itself, I will use a hip circle resistance band. Basic principle behind a resistance band is that they pull your legs inwards. So you need to use your glute max and glute medius to pull your legs outwards. So you've probably heard of this as abducting. So abducting is when you push your legs out, so you move something out of the body. For example, doing abductions with a band, that is a perfect example of where you would use one. Essentially, the band is kind of putting this double duty on the glutes, so the glutes need to work much harder and activate higher to produce the hip extension, and so you can actually abduct your legs out. Okay, next I'm going to show you my go-to glute activation routine, and this will probably be a great one for you to take away, trial it, see how it feels. Some exercises that I do that activate my glutes and warm them up might not be suitable for you, so you're going to have to switch things around, change things up a little bit. If they don't suit you, add a band, take away a band, use a different band, whatever it is. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you do, and make sure you save the workout that is in the description box. So now I've just spoken about glute activation, why I do it, why it's important, every single thing about it. I'm just going to actually go through what I would do for glute activation. Maybe not the whole thing, but I'm going to give you like a handful of exercises that I'm going to speak over. But as I tell you, these are the bands I always get impression that I always use. Like, this is really resistant, so like the thicker it is, usually, or the closer, the more resistant it is, tougher, so it's harder to use. So I don't use this all the time for activation, only on like glute bridges and stuff like that, but like anything else I can't really use it because it just ends up hurting too much before a session. But then this one, as you can see, this is like way stretchier. So this is my usual glute activation band, and I've linked them below for you.
First exercise is banded glute bridges. So I've just been through with you why I use a band. Now they're actually pretty similar to hip thrusts, except your shoulders are obviously planted on the floor. Now you can see that I'm adopting a posterior tilt at the top of the movement, so at full hip extension. Now this is so that your lower back, your lumbar spine doesn't hyperextend, because this can cause really bad back pain. So you can see that I'm actually tucking my chin in exactly like I do with a hip thrust. Just another thing to note, so I keep my feet at shoulder width apart, and I'm constantly pushing through my heels just so that the transmission of force actually goes onto my glutes and hamstrings rather than my quads. Now I do 3 lots of 15 reps. Moving on to 3 lots of 20 glute bridge banded abductions. So all you want to do is adopt a posterior tilt, get in the glute bridge position, and all you're doing is simply abducting your legs out, so you're pushing your knees apart against the band. Now, as I said before, this is putting double duty onto the glutes. I'm pretty sure you've all done squats before. I'm not sure if you've done banded squats, but they are one of my favourite glute activation exercises. So when I do this exercise, I do find it quite hard. So as you can see, I'm a little bit more leant over, so I don't get that little butt wink when you do a squat where you lose your neutral position. Now, the band will push your feet out, so if you want to adopt a slightly narrower stance, it might make it a bit easier for you. You're going to move on to 2 lots of 30 lateral band walks, so this is 15 per side. Now, I think this exercise is one that is performed wrong sometimes, and it is actually quite difficult to do, more difficult than it looks. So you want to maintain an athletic posture by sitting your hips back and then leaning forward. You want to keep the knees forced out against the band as best as you can, and don't let the knees cave in. So keep the feet parallel or even turned in slightly, not pointing out. And trust me, this is where most people do go wrong. Supermans, also known as bird dogs. So these are most commonly used for the glutes, but that shouldn't be the only reason. So the main aim of this exercise is to challenge the stability of your torso whilst also moving one arm and the opposite leg. So everything stays still apart from the leg and the arm. And as a result of this, you challenge the shoulder stability, the torso stability, and the glutes, of course. So it's really common that these are done wrong. The lower back arches and rotates. So this exercise isn't for the lower back, it is for the glutes.
Okay guys, so you've just seen my glute activation. Hopefully I explained that pretty simply for you, why I do those exercises, where I feel it, why I use the band, etc, etc. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can get more. And I'm obviously back in the gym now, doing bits and bobs, doing my lower body sessions again after my surgery, which makes me so happy. Like, I feel like I'm like myself again. So I will see you in my next video. Bye.